In a few minutes you're going to be seeing a video taken during the on-campus tutorial for this course. There's information about that tutorial in the announcements on Canvas. But I know that most students who register for the online course can't make it to the on-campus tutorial. So I've recorded myself. It's awkward viewing, but you shouldn't be viewing this video, very much at least, because you should be viewing the pages in the Kreeft textbook. That's the point. We're going to be going through the exercises on page 34 in the Kreeft book. The video starts rather abruptly after numbers 1 and 2 in exercise A, and begins with number 3. Before you do this exercise or follow along with us, you should, of course, know what a term, a proposition, and an argument are. You know that by reading the pages that come before the exercise in the assigned lesson on Canvas. Not all the pages, just the ones that were assigned. As you watch this video, and more particularly as you listen to it, again, the point isn't to be watching me. The point is to be looking at the words on the page as I guide you through thinking about them. If you need to pause to take more time to consider the questions, feel free to do so. I mean, that's why one of the benefits of doing the video, you can pause anytime you want to. And just follow along with us. Take each of these questions, try to answer them yourself, and then see how you do compared to the rest of us, including me. So the video starts rather abruptly in just a second. Okay. So what are the two terms?
Everyone in America, and the second one is in the rest of the world as well.
Is it possible to think about everyone in America and in the rest of the world as well at the same time? As one concept?
Okay. Yes.
I think term is better than proposition. Yeah. Number 4, Cameron.
It's a proposition.
Why do you say it's a proposition?
Because it's like making a conclusion and saying, therefore I am. It's using a verb.
If it's drawing a conclusion, I think that it would be an argument.
True, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be an argument. You have two terms in the first part. I as a term, think is a term, thinking is a term, and then you have I and am, two different terms. So you have a connection between two propositions. It's an argument. Number 5, Kathleen. Are you mad?
Proposition.
Why is it a proposition?
Well, it's two terms, like you and anger.
It does have two terms.
And it's not a declarative statement.
Right, it's not a declarative statement. So it's neither a term or a proposition or an argument. You got it. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, but it does have two terms. It does have two terms, but it's a question. So it's not a declarative sentence. Okay. Number 6. So this is a terrible one. I'll take this one. You won't pass. I'm not going to give that to a student. You won't pass. That is a proposition. You have the two terms you and the concept of passing. Number 7, Colin.
That's an argument.
It's an argument that reaches a conclusion. Do you see where because tells you it's an argument? We also had one earlier, therefore. Those are some signal words too that you're looking at an argument. Therefore, because. Number 8, I'll take this one too. Don't take this logic course. This is a imperative sentence, a negative imperative, so it's not a proposition or a term or an argument. Number 9, Brandon.
Term.
What's the term? I mean, what is, it's not a term. No.
Proposition of please be quiet. Or is it an argument?
It's close to a proposition. The problem is it's an imperative sentence. You're commanding nicely to be quiet. So it's not a proposition. But you saw the terms. It was the terms that make it a proposition, if it was a declarative sentence. Number 10, a falsity so obvious that it couldn't fool a child. That was kind of difficult. Taylor.
Proposition.
What do you say? What are the two terms?
Falsity and obvious.
Is it possible to have that as an object of thought? A falsity so obvious that it couldn't fool a child?
Yes.
That's why I said it's kind of tricky. That's a difficult one. Yeah. So it's actually a term. There's an awful lot of words there, but it's actually one term. It's one concept of thought. Number 11, God exists. I'll take that one. It's a proposition because it has the concept of God and the concept of existence. There is an argument for the existence of God that would claim that that is in fact an argument. It's called the ontological argument, which argues that the idea of existence is buried in the definition of God, that a God who does not exist would be a meaningless term. It's an interesting argument. If you're into that kind of stuff, you might look up the ontological argument. It's an interesting argument. I'm not sure it's a good argument, but it's certainly interesting. Well, I could have been a bit more clear in that very short introduction to the ontological argument, especially in making it clear that the ontological argument applies to the concept of God as God is understood by Jewish, Christian, and Muslim theologians. Because in those faith traditions, God is defined as ultimate reality, the ground of existence, the foundation of existence itself, or even existence itself. That argument would not be made for a God who is believed to exist within the universe, like the Babylonian god Marduk, or the Greek god Zeus, or the flying spaghetti monster kind of God. Not that kind of a God. Okay. I'm not going to go into the whole ontological argument, but I did want to make that clear, that, of course, the whole argument hinges on how that term God is defined. If you're interested, you're interested. If you're not interested, then you're not interested. Anyway, back to the tutorial. Interesting. Number 12. It ain't broke, so it don't got to be fixed. Kathleen.
Judgment or argument.
It's an argument. And there you've got kind of a signal word, so, as a signal word. Number 13. You're weird. I'll take this one too. That is a proposition because we have two terms, you and the concept of weirdness. Number 14. Everything in the kitchen sink except the sink itself. Colin, back to you.
That'd be a term.
That's a term. That's one object of thought. And number 15, ouch. That was actually the example I gave in our little discussion earlier. So that's an an interjectory sentence. Right, it's an interjectory sentence. So it's not a term, a proposition, or an argument. Okay, B, harder. Use the chart on page 32. So go back, you see that chart there. to tell whether the following statements are true or false. Assume that all the terms are clear and unambiguous. So we know the terms are clear. We're going to slow down and work through these. Number one, if an argument is logically valid, its conclusion must be true. If an argument is logically valid, its conclusion must be true. I'll take this one to get us set up for how to do it. If an argument is logically valid, its conclusion must be true. That's false because the premises might be false. That would only be true if the premises are true. So that one is false. Number two, if an argument's conclusion is true, it must be logically valid. Brandon? If an argument's conclusion is true, it must be logically valid. No, that's false. Let me give you an example. Sophie is a cat. Sophie has fur. Therefore, all cats have fur. The conclusion is true, but the argument is invalid. The fact that one cat has fur, even though it's true, doesn't make the argument valid. You see it? Okay, if an argument's conclusion is not true, it cannot be logically valid. Brain hurting yet? Colin? Take this one.
Okay.
And take your time with it. If the argument's conclusion is not true, it cannot be logically valid.
Is it false?
It is false. And why?
I have no idea.
Okay, here's why. Logically valid doesn't mean true, okay? It means that the argument is valid. Let's see if I can give you an example where the conclusion is not true, but it is logically valid. Oh, that's going to be easy. All cats have wings. Sophie is a cat, therefore Sophie has wings.
Okay.
That's logically
That makes
valid,
sense. Okay.
but the conclusion is untrue. Did you get that, Kathleen? Yeah. Okay. This is what I mean by moving slowly.
The way they word it, it's so strange.
Yep, I know. Get used to it. Number 4, if an argument's conclusion is not true, its premises cannot be true. If an argument's conclusion is not true, its premises cannot be true. Let me talk through this and help you use that chart. Okay. Number 4, if an argument's conclusion is not true, its premises cannot be true. On the chart, we see that if the premises are full, you see three lines down, if the terms are clear, but we know the terms are clear, we're told to assume that, and the premises are false, if the conclusion is not true, See where it says, the third one down, the conclusion is uncertain? If an argument's conclusion is not true, its premises cannot be true. That would be uncertain, because it hinges on whether the logic is valid or not. So I would say that is false. Let me check myself. Have you found out that the answers to the even number questions are in the back? So you can check yourself. Number 4, false. Yeah, I was right. Even though I was a bit uncertain myself, I was right. Number 5, if an argument's premises are true and it is invalid, its conclusion must be false. If an argument's premises are true, those are the first 2 lines on the chart. We see that. If the argument's premises are true and the logic is invalid, now we're on the second line. You with me? Now we're on the second line. The chart says the conclusion is uncertain, and so that means the statement is false, because uncertain means that it might be true or it might be false. We just don't know. Number 6. If an argument's premises are true and its conclusion is true, it must be valid.
True.
Work through the chart with it. If the premises are true and its conclusion is true, it must be valid. Brandon says true. Cameron, what's your vote?
I also say true.
True.
Taylor, Colin?
True.
False. Bummer. False. Why do you say true? This is a key point.
Because it looks like the top line of the chart.
It looks like the top line on the chart. It looks like it, but it isn't. The chart says if the terms are clear, and the premises are true, and the logic is valid, then the conclusion is true. And that's true. But number 6 says if an argument's premises are true, and its conclusion is true, it must be valid. It's reversing the logic and the conclusion. It's in fact false. Tricky, huh? Better get used to it. If you get offended by trick questions, this is not the course for you, because this is every once in a while I get emails from students. Well, that trick question was tricky. It's like, yeah, they're all tricky. It's a logic course. That's how logic classes work. Yeah. So if you're offended by that, you probably have some larger issues to deal with. But get used to it. Okay. That's why I kind of say we're all going to fall for these things anyway. And if you don't believe me, you can go back to the answers, and in fact, it is false for the reason that I gave. Well, I'll give you an example. It's actually the one they used earlier works. Sophie is Sophie is a cat. Sophie has fur, therefore all cats have fur. The premises are true. Sophie is a cat. Sophie has fur, and all cats have fur. The conclusion is true. All cats have fur, but the logic is invalid. From one example, you can't draw the valid conclusion that all cats have fur. Okay, that's tricky. Yeah, it is tricky. That's what logic is supposed to teach you to catch. Okay. Not bad. Not bad for the first day. Not bad for the first day. Well, here's what I want you to do between now and next Tuesday. What time? Yeah, this is about as long as we stick together. If you would go over pages 28 through 33, that'll be largely review for you, except, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, 26 to 33. On page 26 and 27, you've got all of logic in 2 pages. I gave you all of logic in 1 PowerPoint slide earlier. Here you've got all of logic in 2 pages, which just expands on what I said there. Just read through this slowly. If you don't understand something, don't get too worried about it. Okay, we'll catch up to that in the course. But this is like a map. This is where we're going. Okay, and so if you like aren't sure what a sentence means, don't panic or get worked up about it. Okay, we'll get to that part in the course. And then that will be review for you. And then if you would read pages 47 to 53. If you would read those pages, then we'll be in good shape to work through some more exercises. And then we'll go kind of like we did today.